Now, foodie or not, you'll certainly know our next guest.
She's comfy in the kitchen and in front of a camera. That is a winning combo. She is Nigella Lawson.
Dip in the asparagus spears. Been cooked for about 6 minutes, egg for about 4, and it's delicious.
She's the taste bud temptress serving up delicious dishes with style.
There are times when only mashed potato will do.
This famous foodie isn't one to mince words. Studying language at Oxford Uni, Nigella initially worked in publishing, and by the time she was 26, Nigella was the deputy literary editor at the Sunday Times in the UK. But cooking was her real passion, so combining her love for writing and food, Lawson published her first recipe book in the late 90s.
This gives a satiny lusciousness to the chocolate filling.
Since then, she's cooked up 8 more bestsellers, including her latest, Simply Nigella, feel-good food.
But there are times when, because of work or the pressures of life, you really need a bowlful of something warm and familiar, or a slice of something sweet, just to make you feel the world is a safer place.
After more than 12 successful cooking shows, launching her own app and accolades galore, Nigella's $1 million empire is certainly on the boil.
You need some cream, a lake of cream.
Oh, we love a lake of cream. Welcome, Nigella. It's so good to see you again. Welcome back.
It's lovely to be back.
Nigella Lawson is so much more than just your name. It's a business empire. Now,
it's not really a business empire. Everyone always says it is, but actually, it's just not.
So you've kept the personal touch, haven't you?
Well, it's just that everything I do is done by me. I mean, obviously, you know, it's all about collaboration. You know, there's a director and there's a producer and very important with food, sound man. When I do the programs and you know, obviously with books, you know, I work with other people on them. But you know, I write them. I conceive everything. I'm there doing the food and. We shoot the pictures in my house for the books, and otherwise, really, if I'm not there doing it, there isn't anything. So it isn't. There's not a huge, you know, there's not a huge team of people being me or doing things that would be me. It is just me. So it's not really.
I think people realise that, and that's why you're so popular, because you're very authentic. When you do so many books and so many TV shows, people know when you're lying or you're pretending to be someone you're not. You never do that.
No, I don't. And actually, you know, I don't do a book. I don't do a book every year, ever. And I wait until I've got a book and I feel I want to do it. So it's been 3 years since my last book. You know, so and I do some books I do a TV series around, and some books I don't. So I try to make sure that I just really do what I feel is right.
Your first book was released in the 90s. How do you think your cooking has evolved since then?
Well, what's quite funny, and maybe this is like life in general, I feel that it's slightly changed in bits and developed, and now it's almost gone back to what it was with my first book. I think this, you know, my newest book is it's rather like an evolved version of my first book, which was very mixed and had very different sorts of food in it. And I suppose that's really what life is like. You kind of return to what you love, but all my books share the same voice and the same enthusiasms, but of course, being an enthusiast, often I, you know, discover certain ingredients and then I just can't stop cooking with them.
But you've always said your cookbooks are like your own diary. So
Yes.
you're saying this is going back to the start. Is that
It's
like you are yourself now? That
yes, well, sort of, but it goes back to the start, but obviously things are different. I'm a lot older, and in fact, quite a lot older than in some of those clips you showed.
Do you like that? We've played those.
Well, I don't, you know, it's quite odd for me because I never watch my programmes, so I only ever see bits of them when I'm on programmes like this and I see a clip. But, you know, here's my hair straighter, but certainly, I am a lot younger. I think that in a way, you know, as you say, that I feel that my books, you know, are like my photograph albums. I can see, you know, often my kids are in them, or I can remember what I cooked at certain stages. And you know, recipes are very personal. I think they are absolutely about where you are in your life. And yes, there is a connection to the me that wrote that first book in when it was published in '98.
Back to a Simple Life.
And well, I think what it is as well is that it's when you also take a bit of time off from writing, it's so lovely. It has that sense as well, which a first book does, of absolutely thinking this is so fortunate and lucky to be doing this and writing about what I love and the food I love and what makes a home for me and what makes a life, and it's and that is what food is about.
Yeah.
You're famous for making cooking sexy.
Well,
Well, you are. Take a look at this clip.
no, I am absolutely not going to take a look at this.
Have a look at this.
The light side. Now, come with me, if you will, to the dark side. And I mean dark.
I think you have a wonderful way with words. I love it. Do you realise you're being sexy? Do you know that?
No, you see, I'm quite an intense person, and I think food. I have an intimate connection with food, and everyone does, and I think that does create something people will think of. You know, I can't use the term sexy. Ugh, I hate the word. But I'm not a coquettish person at all. I also think, you know, I have, you know, a wonderful cameraman, and this series is a new one, but still, you know, and I've always had a great cameraman. That the food is so beautiful, and the atmosphere that's created is one that you just want to wallow in. So I think, in a way, a lot of what you remark on is not about me, it's about the food and the beauty of the food shots as well. But I certainly do want to use language to make people understand the sheer pleasure of cooking, the feel of it, as well as the taste of it. So in that sense, yes, it belongs in the realm of the senses, but I'm not actually a flirtatious person. It's just, you know, I'm just wallowing in the pleasure of it all.
Where did that pleasure for cooking come from? You were taught cooking by your mother.
Well,
Was it way back then?
I don't know that I was taught cooking. She just believed in child labour and made us cook. I don't think there wasn't much teaching, but certainly we did.
Where did the passion come from? Because you're a literary critic and...
Yeah, but
You're
you
a
know...
journalist, weren't you?
Yes, I'm an op-ed columnist and everything. Yes, but you know, the point is, food is a part of everyone's life. It's not about being a specialist or an expert, and I'm not. But for me, a lot of it is just about enjoying food as someone who cooks at home. When I had a job and I had small children and I had to fit in to everything else. But that's the way we all cook.
Yeah.
However great a chef is, a chef cooks under very different conditions, with a lot of people helping with the chopping and the clearing up. And so for me, it's about the context of cooking in a home and in life. But I don't know, I'm not very good with my hands and I'm quite clumsy, whereas when I'm cooking, I just love that. I love the feel of it, and I don't sort of start worrying. I mean, I couldn't, you know, fold a napkin, and you know, I can't do anything difficult. I couldn't spin sugar or anything like that either. But just that thing of getting stuck in, and the smells and the feel of it when I'm cooking, I find that such a great way to decompress. But you know, all my recipes are very simple, and you know, not through strategy, but you know, it's called making a virtue out of necessity.
Right.
You've got 2 kids. You run a business.
When you say run a business,
well,
you know, I
work
work,
you know.
Yeah, but I work at home, which is lovely.
Yeah.
I work at home, and
but you also work around
people.
cooking, which begs the question: do you ever just get takeaway? Please tell me you get takeaway occasionally, or does anyone ever cook for you? Say,
yes,
come
of
around?
course, yes, of course, yes.
Really?
People cook for me, and but.
Imagine cooking for Nigella Lawson.
Yeah, that would be
but they're my friends. They're my friends. It's like that, you know. And also, you can tell by the food I cook, it's quite simple food. I mean, it's great, but simple food is the food most people want to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I took, you know, when my kids were small, I often used to pretend I was doing, when I was really exhausted, like on a Friday, I'd say, for a special treat, would you like pizza? And I was just like, would you? Like I was being kind to them. You know, just on the Fridays. But I don't very often get takeaway, but I'm very happy to. If, you know, I like all food. And if I want just bread and cheese for supper, I don't feel that's you know, a terrible thing to do. It doesn't have to be all cooked, but I do enjoy the cooking.
What is it with British cooks as well? You know, Jamie Oliver, Gordon Ramsay. Do you guys hang out? Is there like a little club?
Well,
of
I've
Brits?
never been quite part of the club,
Right.
in a way. But yes, I mean, I think, you know, I like Gordon. I used to be on my phone as Gorgeous Gordon, and I like him, and I admire Jamie, and I think he's great. He's a lovely boy, and he also does wonderful things.
Yep.
So I like him, but in a way, I suppose the point is that I don't come across them that often now. I mean,
Right. Yep.
Okay, we put the word out to our viewers what they would like to ask you. So let's go to some of those questions. Rosie asks, what do you do to relax?
Well, I find cooking relaxing, a bit of stirring and chopping. I also do a lot of lying about on sofas reading with mugs of tea, and, you know, hang out with friends and my kids, and that's a good. I walk, do a bit of yoga, but mostly I do like there's a bit of pottering in the kitchen, and then nice bit of lazy lying about at the weekend.
Sue wants to know your preference, sweet or savoury, and your biggest food indulgence.
Well, it might surprise people to say that, you know, if I had to choose between sweet and savoury, I would go for savoury. But luckily that choice, you know, doesn't have to be enforced. And what I really love is a bit of salt on sweet. So I've got, for example, I've got a salted chocolate tart, very, very easy one actually, in this book. You know, I like salted caramel. I don't like sweet to be so full, and I love that, just a bit of sea salt.
Is it true that you carry salt in your handbag?
Salt, mustard, tea bags.
In your handbag?
Yes.
In your handbag?
Yes.
What?
Do they stop you like
Very
custard?
Lady Bracknell out there. Yes, well, I explain. Very needed. I know. Someone stopped me because they thought, because I carried the mustard in a tube, and she said it was a woman in Mexico, and she said, is it good as you use it for, she thought it was obviously I was using it for sort of makeup things. Does it help depuff? I said, no, I eat it. I put it on food.
You should have said yes and seen what happened to it. Oh, I love it. All right, now, one more viewer question. Chloe says, what was the first thing, do you remember the first thing you ever cooked from scratch, and was it any good?
Well, as I say, I cooked from a very young age, and so we'd be doing like white sauce, mayonnaise and things like that. But I do think we never had sweet things at home, ever. And so the first thing I ever cooked from scratch myself, because I wanted to do it, I mean, I made profiterole.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
That's complicated.
At what age was that?
I don't know, I suppose around 10, 11.
Gee. You had a knack right from a young age.
I don't know how
That's a
good
big thing.
I don't know if they were good or not, but they were nice to me.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll let you go for now, but you're coming back later on to cook for us.
I am,
So-
and then it'll be sweet with a bit of saltiness going on, you see.
love it.
Love it.
Love
Sounds
it.
good. Can't wait. Okay, well, lovely to chat. And we'll see you
lovely
in the
to chat to
kitchen.
you.
Find out more about Nigella's new cookbook. It's called Simply Nigella. Feel good food on our website. And stick around. Nigella is heading into the Sunrise Kitchen to teach Kochie how to cook something sweet. Oh my goodness.
That is going to be a challenge.
That is going to be a challenge.
Can't wait.
All right, we'll see you soon.